Hey guys, we're live. We're on day 2 of the free 5-day storytelling challenge. And I always start up about 15 minutes early so we can get time to chat and whatnot. And then we start promptly at the top of the hour with a 15-minute timer and a story prompt. And so if you have some kind of like a Google Doc or a Word or something, you want to open that up and get it ready for when we set the timer. And we'll get started in a moment. Hey, you guys, I'm John's here, Wonderbaugh, and Lowell, and Duncan, and hi, hi, John, the wordsmith. I really loved your story yesterday. That was really good. And in fact, it's not a contest or anything. It's really just about you know, getting your creative juices going, taking a break during the day, and all of that. But I really did like your story. Just wanted to say that. You're welcome. Give me just a second. Vitamins. Nice. Okay. So, oh my goodness. John found a reel with the video from the image from yesterday, which was a guy on a bicycle, and, there was a giraffe in the middle of the road. Can you send it? Do you have the link to that? I would love to see it. That's amazing. That's actually a really good way to find photo prompts for the future. You just gave me a great idea. So speaking of great ideas too, by the way, I got an email from one of my friends, Bill Mueller, today, who's also into storytelling, and he's quite brilliant if you're not following him. I think it's Sales Story Machine or something like that. Definitely get on his email list. He's got some great emails. But today he was talking about where to find stories. And of course, we find stories here. I give them to you in a photo prompt, which is a very valid way of creating a story. You can do this on your own. Some people who can't make it live actually do come up with their little photo prompts and write the stories with a timer as well. But he had these really great ideas I want to share with you. So, one of them to come up with ideas is to do a Google map of a place that you lived, a school you went to, or something like that. And so, it shows you the view of the street level, and you'll start seeing buildings that bring back memories and things and remembering stuff that, from that time period without having to force it. I thought that was just brilliant. Another tip he said is if there's a story that you tell at the dinner table that went over really well, like kind of hone that because that's been tried and true and tested, and you know that it gets people's attention if it went over well. So I like that idea. And then the other one was think of something that you did for the first time. And that will just fill in the blanks. That's the first time you rode a bicycle, the first time you drove a car, the first time you rode a horse, the first time of anything, and just the first. I think that's another really great way to come up with ideas for telling your stories. All right, John, I got this. I'm going to copy this link for the giraffe YouTube story, or yeah, I'm going to watch that. Yeah. Woo! There it is. It's just going. Shh. How do I make you be quiet? Okay, cool. So, I'm curious, John, what made you go and search that out? Did you run across it? Did you put it in like an image? And how did you possibly find that of all of the videos in the world? I'm just curious about that. And then again, I do think it's a really great idea to find story ideas and prompts by looking through videos and taking a still shot. I think that's pretty cool. I'm gonna start doing that too. Then I'll never run out of pictures. You did an image search to find that. Cool. Didn't think of that. It is pretty amazing the technology that we have today, I guess. It can find it's almost scary, but it can find just about anything that you're looking for. So very cool. We have 10 minutes before we get started. And some people don't come live, but they'll come later. And that's fine too. If you're watching this later, just do make sure that you set a timer for 15 minutes because the output is different when you have a timed, when you have an end. It just really it forces your brain first into freeze mode. You're like, what the hell am I going to write? And then the ideas just start bubbling up. And there's something just about that pressure that it's a good pressure and it gets the juices going. Ha! So John says he was curious about how aggressive a giraffe might be. Um, and so are they aggressive? I figured they are not, but of course, anything that's threatened is going to be aggressive, and they're huge. I mean, I have horses and they're 1,100 pounds, and if they step on your toe or they wanna kick you, not good. I imagine a giraffe weighs a lot more than that, and they're enormous. It's funny, I went to Africa, on my first honeymoon on a safari, so romantic, right? And as you're flying over, you just look out the airplane window and you see herds of giraffe, herds of zebra, herds of elephants. It's so weird. It's, like, surreal. But it's like a different world. It truly is. When you're actually you see them in the zoo, and you realize how ginormous these creatures are. Okay, so this is hi, Diane. This is what John says about the aggressive nature of giraffes, that it's mostly male on male crime. That and that makes sense, right? They're fighting for the mate. That's kind of for just about every animal, but for humans, they don't tend to be as aggressive. They seem kind of shy. They run really funny too. John says he's subscribing to everybody who joins this list. That's great. Who joins this challenge? And again, if you are just curious, if you're catching this live and you don't want to actually write, but you're story curious, you don't have to join in. You can just watch and see what we're doing. And it's a lot of fun though. There's really no pressure. You can't get it wrong. It's just about repping those muscles, getting them stronger, and opening up your creativity. So Diana's asking me if I've ever worked with a stallion. No, sir. No, ma'am. I have not. They are hot. They're very hot. And of course, there's different breeds. So they're not, it depends on the breed of the stallion, but especially if there's any mares around, they, they're dangerous. And so, no, I don't. I only geldings and mares, although our mare has passed away. But geldings are pure gold. Mares are moody. Go figure. They really are, and they have their seasons, and they're they're very loyal, but they're also super moody. And mine was a bitch. I loved her to death. She was the best horse I ever had, but she did it the way she wanted to do it. And so Diane was saying that this is good practice of being real when you write. I agreed. Agreed. And yes, with mares, there are lots of hormones to create life. Go figure. That's right. And so, yeah, their mares are just a little cranky sometimes. Okay, we've got 6 minutes before we get cranky. Let me start writing the chat. This always happens whenever, like, people might show up late or after I've already started the timer and I'm quiet because I'm writing too, and I won't see the chat, and people will go, what's going on? So let me put the chat link in here where you're going to put your story. And again, get something ready to write because once we hit the timer, then you've got 15 minutes and it's going to go super fast. So open up a Google Doc or open up a Word doc, or plain text or whatever you like. You can write it out by hand if you like, but you won't probably have it typed out by the time we're done today. But that's also perfectly valid. Just please make sure you use your timer because, John, your story was great, but I don't know that that was in 15 minutes. John uses Apple Notes for this. That's a great idea too. I guess I don't know about like Notion and Evernote and stuff like that, but whatever works for you, something that you can copy and paste. So let me grab this link. Here we go. Sean, you correct me up. But you did it and it was fantastic. It was a really good story. All right, here's the link to the chat where you're going to put your story. I'm going to show it to you in just a second. John's saying that using Apple Notes it's perfect for this because it's just like a sprint, there's not really formatting, I imagine, and you just put it out and copy paste, right? So I'm going to share my screen real quick and show you the chat since we have time here. There we go. And bada bing, bada boom, you can see the prompt that we're gonna be using today. I think I also sent this out as an email just to kinda whet people's appetites. So, one of the things that you can see in this chat, see, this is the photo for today, this is the one from yesterday if you didn't see it. Hey, and you can always go back and do any of these photo prompts, by the way. This is the giraffe one we've been talking about. This is the one for today. Just leave a reply right here, just pop your story right there, and, we'll go through a few not to correct you, I'm not an English teacher with the red pen or anything like that. It's just to, like, highlight what's working and to just enjoy what you've created, to be honest. So one of the things that I wanna point out, and, is something you should think about for any prompts that you're doing during this challenge or if you wanna play on your own, is look at the background material too, right? The little minutia, the little details, like in this particular one, there's a dog, it's got a tag, there's a suitcase, like what's in the suitcase? What kind of clothes, what time of year do you think this is? And I see a sweater, right? It's gotta be kinda cold. And then the background, I don't even know what those little tags are, but you can, make it out to be whatever you want, they could be I don't know, you'll have to come up with the ideas. And, this woman, she's got short sleeves on, so even though she has a sweater, maybe it's just for night. But things like that, look at those little details, and you might be surprised about other things that you can work into your story. And also when you're writing, try to think of textures, use the senses when you can, sight, sound, touch, taste, smell. Not you don't have to overload it, but when you use those, it the reader senses them back too, like, it kind of engages their memory of what that would be like. It just gives them a better reading experience. And something that I also like to do that, one of our regulars, who I'm not sure if he's here, I'm gonna check in a minute, but Mo is really good at onomatopoeia, which is when things sound the way that they're written. So, like, boom, bang, crash. Well, I don't know if crash is, but they sound like the thing that they are. And so those kind of bring a little flavor and excitement into your stories too. So just there's lots of endless little devices and tools you can do to make your story, more readable. But to be honest, in 15 minutes, you're lucky if you just kinda get it down. And then you can always go back and edit, and that's the goal in real life, is that you would go back and edit. You probably wouldn't publish these stories out of the box, although maybe you would. Some people would. Okay, let me go back to the chat as we are starting here in a moment. It's almost there. Okay. All right. Almost time, almost time. All right. Limber up your fingers. See, I really did cut myself, you guys. I don't know what I did, but I sliced the heck out of the top of my finger, like, right when I'm trying to type, and this is a really gross Band-Aid at this point. It's fairly dirty and filthy, but it does protect my little finger, and it makes it hard to type on with my left hand because it's so fat. But at any rate, it is time, and so I'm gonna pop up the, the photo. Here we go. Let's find the right button. Boop, boop. Writing session, and here it is. Um, all right, this is our photo. I haven't started the timer yet. One more time, I'm going to pop the link to the chat in our chat because people always can't find it. It happens every time. All right. So there it is. And I'm gonna do one last check on the chat, and then I'm gonna start writing. So if you have questions, pop them in there, and I'll pop in and make sure that everybody's going okay. But mostly, I'm gonna be writing in the background as well. So let us start the timer. Start your engines. Let's go. And time's up. That went fast, huh? I noticed that, I'm the first story to pop in there, and I was cranking everything out I could at the very last minute. I looked up and it was 2 minutes left. So, yeah, I understand. It's a lot of time pressure. It's a time crunch. But hopefully we'll have some more stories over here. I'm going to look in just a second. But do you find when you're writing these stories that they start kind of taking on a life of their own? Like they take these different turns? Like, well, let me show you mine. Not that it's the most brilliant story in the world, but it's fun. Oh, good, John. You got yours going here. Fantastic. And Diane's got hers. So I just want to show you what I'm talking about real quick with mine. Let me share my screen again. So on the chat, oops, I got to go here to share. Think I'd have these controls down by now. So at the chat, here we go. Okay. So I'm not going to read the whole thing, but it's basically I started out. So, you see the picture of this dog and it's in a boot. So I went before the picture showed up and I set Anna, who is my character, in going out with her horse and preparing. The boots kind of made me think of, cowboy stuff, a rodeo. And so she's going to say goodbye to her horse, but she's not packed. And then she's in a hurry and her dog wants to go with her. So sneaks inside her boot. So it kept kind of having a life of its own. So I'm just curious if that happens to you guys as well. Let me look and see what you have done in our last 15 minutes together. Well, first, let me look and see if anyone has an answer. It's like listening to the land of make believe. Yeah, it has its own life. So the chat, here we are. All right, Chihuahuas. I love Chihuahuas. Oh, Leo, I miss you so much. Oh, Nugget the Wonder Dog, I miss you so much. What a question. How has serving a Chihuahua changed my life? Both of my Chihuahua, the best masters and teachers. Yep. Animals do teach us a lot. And no matter what chore I had to perform, they honestly showed me how I did and how appreciated I was. They never waffled when I was good. I was given little kisses, a sign of pleasure, or in Leo's case, a nip and a huff. And they were always gentle, even when we found a bad result. Another thing about my Chihuahuas, they both had a Napoleon complex. They do, don't they? If there was an emergency happening, they would leap into the fray like they were the king or general that had to be obeyed. And if the noise and funny dumb face didn't work, they would master the situation and demand that everyone followed their rules. It worked most of the time until it didn't. I'm still at my neighbors for letter. They're normally for litter. They're normally lovely chocolate lab out the door without its leash. Not, don't understand that quite. That there's this is a you're just dumping thoughts and stuff. We're not editing, so it's fair. No one expected the lab to run directly at Nugget and almost bite his rear end off. My neighbor showed some good behavior and love for his dog. He paid for half of the $1,000 vet bill. Aw. But Nuggy, when I look back at serving Nuggy, I'm so grateful to have been available every 20 minutes to make sure his wound was okay and he had everything he needed to want to live. Well, good for Nuggy. I can still feel the warmth of his little body next to me in bed. I could turn around and kiss his neck and feel some peace that everything was going to be okay. Animals, they often hold the space in our hearts where peace, rest, and excitement lives. And even though they're gone with the miracle device we own right now, I have a video of Nuggy shadowboxing with his image in the mirror. And Leo, when he went totally blind, wearing his diaper and playing Mr. Magoo, walking into walls. I didn't even mind when he lifted his leg to pee on the wall. That is if I had been a good girl and made sure he was diapered. Thank you, Leo Waxman. You taught me that serving the living things in front of you can be the gift that keeps on giving. Thank you, Nugget the Wonder Dog. You taught me that looking at myself and playing in the mirror can be the most fun of all. I love that. I especially like that last line, that what you learned from it. Now Bill versus the TSA. Yeah, I kind of went with the airport thing too, a little bit. So Bill wiped the sweat from his brow and laid the tan bag with everything of value that he owned on the conveyor belt leading to the scanner. The beating of his heart thundered loudly in his chest, and he felt a vein pulse in his temple. I love the visual language, John. That's nice. It's as hot in here as it is in Mexico, but Mexico has better beaches, Bill explained to no one in particular. A puzzled look crossed the TSA agent's face. There's something alive in this bag, he said. And then everyone looked straight at him. Bill smiled weakly. A burly black man with the name tag Tyrek pulled the bag off a table to try to open the bag. It was locked. "Sir, you need to unlock this bag." "Do I really? It's just a bag." A female supervisor walked over. "We'll arrest you if you don't," she said flatly. Her tag read Eileen. Bill smiled nervously and fumbled for the key in his watch pocket. He unlocked the bag and stepped back. Tyreek unzipped the bag and stepped back. "Eileen," the supervisor shot Bill a look. "Is there anything you wish to declare before I open this bag?" Bill's mouth was dry. Nothing came out of his mouth. She blipped the bag open and Raleigh popped her head up. Tyreek blinked. It's a dog. The SA agent lifted the dog out with both hands and held her at eye level. Raleigh blinked once. She did not appear troubled. "Sir," Eileen turned to face Bill directly. "Is this your dog?" I would think it is. Bill pulled at the neck of his Hawaiian shirt. "She followed me in." Nobody laughed. Eileen crossed her arms. "Chihuahuas are approved for cabin in travel, sir. All you needed was a carrier and a $75 fee." Bill opened his mouth, closed it. The vein in his temple pulsed again. Tyreek was still holding Raleigh. Raleigh was looking at Bill with the patient, ancient expression of a creature who had seen this coming since the parking garage. "Mexico's expensive," Bill finally said. Eileen nodded slowly, the way people nod when they already knew the answer and simply needed the other person to hear themselves say it out loud. "Sir, I'm afraid you're going to miss your flight." Bill looked at Raleigh. Raleigh looked at Bill. She had been in that bag before. She would be in that bag again, but she had never, not once, asked to be. Bill reached out and took her. Raleigh looked at him the way she always looked at him, like she knew exactly what kind of man he was, and made her peace with it long ago. I love that. He actually tried to get it through TSA. That's funny. All right, and now we have Al. Yay! I'm glad you were able to make it. Contraband. That's the title. Gidget had almost made it to Phoenix. She'd survived the sweaters, the rolled up jeans, the humiliation of being wedged between one brown boot and a floral blouse that smelled like lavender and panic. For 20, and I love that, by the way. You really, and as you usually do, you bring such visual words into your writings. For 23 minutes, nobody noticed. Then the suitcase opened. Light poured in, airport air, rubber mats, the faint beep of machines deciding everyone's business. A woman in a red shirt reached down and lifted her by the ribs like evidence. Gidget dangled there, one paw still resting on the blue bone tag flashing against her tiny chest. Around her, strangers leaned closer. Her owner began explaining too quickly. Gidget did not blink. She had the solemn face of a dog who understood federal law, disagreed with it, and would be speaking to no one without counsel. The suitcase lay beneath her, clothes spilling out like accomplices. Somewhere a boarding announcement crackled. Gidget looked toward the gate, so close. And this is another thing that I really like that you've done here, Al, is that the the suitcase lay open beneath her, clothes spilling out like accomplices. I'm so visual. I personally have a hard time when I'm in the moment coming up with those really cool little metaphors like you have and descriptors. So, well done. I really like it. And that is all we have. If other people have stories to post, maybe you'll do it later, or maybe you're just voyeuring, and that is perfectly fine too. But I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to have a little quickie look at this. And if you did, hi, Michael, if you did come later, you can look at the chat that is in the, actually, let me pop this chat in here again. This is where we're posting stories and you can still play along, but you set a 15-minute timer. And just so we're all on the same page, because if you can write a story for, half a day, it's not going to have the same effect as if you write it under pressure and under a timer. But there is what was I saying? I'm sorry, I'm reading the chat now. That John finished his in 15 minutes. Yay. It's hard, right? It's hard to get a whole story out in 15 minutes, but it's fun. And you are training your brain to start thinking, delivering thoughts to you faster. So anyway, if you are joining late or if you're watching this later, you can still go and play in the chat. Just write your story and set a timer for 15 minutes. And it has to be a story about the prompt. It should be inspired by the prompt, ideally, and then just pop it in that chat, and I'll have a look at it when I'm back at the computer. But very cool. Let me see this. Yo Quiero Taco Bell. This one was fun and easy. Used to be a big fan of Taco Bell. I'm not a big fan of Taco Bell. It tastes delicious, but I will end up in the bathroom. I know that's TMI, but Taco Bell 100% does not like me, but I remember that commercial, it was a good one. Anyhow, thank you, Diane, thank you, John, Al, Michael, everybody else who's joined us today, and we will be here again tomorrow. I hope you can make it. It doesn't take that long, and, it's I like having the company, so give me a break and come and join me. See you guys tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day.